What's up, guys? This is Bobby Douglas, and we are back again today with another 2020 NBA Draft Prospect full game video breakdown. We have another new look today. Hopefully, you guys like this one better. I'm trying to make this as easy to watch as possible. But today, we're going to be looking at New Zealand Breakers guard RJ Hampton. Hampton made a lot of waves last summer when he decided to go to the NBL in Australia, or New Zealand in this case, and spurned the traditional college route. And, he had an up and down season, showed some good plays, but he also looked a little bit young at times in the NBL. Averaged around 9 points a game with 4 rebounds and 2.5 assists, but really not efficient shooting the ball. Around 41% from the floor and only 29.5% from three. So he definitely left a lot to be desired. But this is an interesting game that I picked out today, because he's actually playing in an exhibition game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And a lot of times exhibition games don't really mean anything, but in this situation where it's RJ Hampton and we're obviously evaluating him for the NBA draft, I think it is kind of useful and kind of interesting to see how he does against an actual NBA team. And Chris Paul plays in this game, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander plays in this game, Dennis Schroeder, all those big names play in this game, so it's not like he's going up against third-string NBA guys. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting, and remember, we watched a full game here just to get a better sense of a prospect's strengths and weaknesses as they happen during the game. So with that being said, let's get right into it. I'm excited to watch this. So here we go. So he's going to be number 14 in black. So you see him, right? He's going to be guarding, looks like, Chris Paul to start. So we got something interesting here. That's just a very solid play. And the thing I'll say about RJ Hampton is that he is seen as an athlete. He, in high school, he had a lot of dropping dunks. He's pretty quick on his feet. I do think it will serve him well to get a little bit stronger, because you can even tell right now he looks very slight compared to a lot of the players on the floor. And with the NBA range 3, he tends to be short on a lot of his jump shots, so I think adding strength will help him in that regard. But again, he does have a lot of athleticism. He usually plays hard, smart kid, lots of things to like. I have him 20th on my big board right now, so middle to late first round. I expect him to go in that range in the NBA draft as well. And so, yeah, that's just the breakdown on RJ Hampton. Obviously, it was a pretty polarizing decision to not go to college. A lot of people had mixed feelings about that. I was personally fine with the decision. I don't really care what these guys do coming out of high school either way. But yeah, he had an interesting route. He was very thoughtful in all of his interviews regarding his decision. He seemed like, again, he has a really good head out and shoulders, really good family, smart kid. So, no motor or character concerns with RJ Hampton, as we see with so many other guys in this draft. No academic concerns either. He didn't just go to the NBL just to avoid going to college. He's a smart kid. And right there, you saw a pretty good pass. Ooh, he got burned by Chris Paul. That's tough. And again, it is kind of cool to see these prospects going up against actual legit NBA competition, So I do think this is a fun game to watch. He had one really good pass on that last possession. That time he just kind of got shaken down by Chris Paul right there. But again, he's got a nice little handle. I think he's pretty good with the ball in his hands. Only averaged 2.5 assists per game for the Breakers this season, but I do think he makes smart reads. Can sometimes turn it over a little bit, but again, I think that's just his youth showing. And remember, this is his first or second game as a New Zealand Breaker, and he has to go up against a playoff team in the NBA. So that's not an easy ask. So I think he handled himself well, despite not really playing to expectations in this game. I think he only had 8 points in this game on 2 of 11 shooting, but he still had some nice plays in there. So here we go. He's going to push the ball. And so right there, that, again, fluid athlete, it's hit or miss on whether or not you buy the jumper. I'm not really sure that I do. Again, he was only a 29.5% three-point shooter in New Zealand this season, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't really like that number. And again, not even cracking 41% overall from the floor. That combined with just under 68% from the free throw line, doesn't really give me a lot of confidence for his shot. This was a guy in high school who, relied a lot on his athleticism and his just end-to-end speed. Really athletic player. No one doubts his athleticism. It's just I really want to see that shooting come along. And the Breakers, his time with the Breakers didn't really give me much confidence in that area of his game. But obviously he's still young and he's got room to improve. But again, I think he's a smart player. I think he fills gaps well, makes smart reads and smart passes. New Zealand the Breakers kind of use him as I would say they run him a lot on the ball. I see him more of an off-ball guard guard in the NBA. He had a nice take with his left there. He just missed the layup. But again, he just in a lot of his NBL games, he just looked very sped up at times. He would make silly turnovers, overzealous passes, and then at the same time, he also looked a little bit timid. So again, I just think adding strength and things like that will really help him in the long run because he does have translatable physical tools to the NBA, I think. And listen, and if you compare this to rookie seasons for NBA guys, I mean, a lot of rookies struggle in the NBA. That's the thing. In college, we're so used to seeing them shoot. We're so used to seeing draft prospects shoot really well from the field, make really good plays. But when they get to the NBA, they struggle. And, if we're treating RJ Hampton's season with the Breakers as almost his rookie season, then, maybe he has a little bit of a advantage over the rest of the class heading into this draft. I think that's something that you really need to consider. He was playing probably some of the best competition outside of maybe Denny Avdia that in this draft class. Avdia was playing EuroLeague ball. So was Killian Hayes. But, I mean, the NBL is a pretty decent league. And so he's playing against pros. So, there is something to be said about that. And so that's why I'm a little bit turned off by his struggles just because his shot wasn't that great. But again, in terms of his overall inefficient plays, a lot of rookies struggle. And so, I don't really think his performance in the NBL is a reason to necessarily have him lower than you would. For me, it's just more the shot never really has been there, and that's why I'm a little bit worried about him in the NBA. And again, you could just see him he just looks super skinny and small compared to the NBA guys, which all rookies do. And he's 6'5", 181, so he's got a decent frame. And, if he can really continue to hone his skills passing the ball, I think the reads are there. As long as he just doesn't get sped up and things like that, I think he can be an NBA lead guard, which in that case, he could be a very effective NBA player. So he's still guarding Chris Paul here. That's what he does. Again, a lot of ball screens, and right there, they're getting pretty much toasted. I think that was the second time they got burned on a screen and roll with Steven Adams, which is hard to defend. See right there, those are pretty good handles. That's a really good feed. And again, he had 5 assists this game, so he obviously is passing the ball well. And again, that's a really high-level pass. He's in the air, he gets caught up there, makes the right read, and gets the right pass. So I'll skip these free throws here. And let's see. But yeah, I do think his passing ability is a little bit underrated. I think he makes smart decisions and good reads. It just is a matter of just playing at his own pace. That's more of the issue with me. Because some guys, you question their basketball IQ to be lead guards and just their overall vision. I think Hampton has the vision. He just needs to work on just slowing his game down a little bit and not just looking so sped up and uncomfortable. And that'll come, I think, with more experience. And I do think in that regard, I think that helps him. I think we got a commercial here, so I will skip this. Here we go. There we go. So again, he'll be an interesting case study, especially if the one and done thing doesn't get abolished. And there's been a lot of conflicting reports on whether or not they're gonna allow high school players back into the draft. I still expect it to happen going into the 2022 NBA draft. But if it doesn't, he'll be an interesting case study for a lot of these guys. Can you create a viable NBA career by not going the traditional college route? So let's see how he operates the ball screen right here. That's a really high level pass. And it leads to an assist for him and an alley-oop layup for his big man. So again, the vision's not really an issue. It's just that I just am a little bit worried just about him. I'm just worried about him in terms of will he adjust to the NBA speed of the game? I think that's the biggest issue I have with him. But, I think that comes. And again, all rookies look flustered. And this is the thing, too. I see him as more of an off-the-ball guard in the NBA, but he has decent vision. So, the point, if he can just improve his handle a little bit, I think he can be a lead NBA point guard. And remember, this guy is actually a year younger. He should be a senior in high school right now. He reclassified coming out of Little Elm. And so he's really actually very young to be playing in a pro game. So that's another thing to consider as well. So again, right there, you can see he just doesn't really have the legs on that jump shot yet. I think adding strength would really help in that regard because that was a woefully short three. It is kind of interesting watching an NBA game, though, I will say. I think we have free throws here, so I'll skip. Oh, no, never mind. Got a dunk here, so I will watch that play out. So again, Hampton inbounding the ball there. Looks like it's just going to be a pick and roll, and it's a good play from the Breakers right there. So Hampton's still on Chris Paul. And again, defensively, I think he has good enough foot speed and things like that. It's just going to be more about adding strength. I think that's ultimately his biggest. That's ultimately a pretty good test from Hampton. You could tell that Chris Paul was trying to break him down a little bit. He was kind of trying to give him the moves right there. But Hampton did a good job just holding his ground and not biting on any subtle fakes or dribble fakes that Paul was going to throw at him. Gave him a good contest. And right there, that's an example of him getting a little bit sped up right there. And he made the right read. It was just the pass wasn't really on point, and the timing was a little bit off. And so I expect that to improve. But again, the main worry with Hampton, for me at least, is just the shot. Hampton was guarding Terrence Ferguson right there. I think he played for the Adelaide 36ers, whatever that team is. So we got a little NBL matchup brewing right here as well. Ferguson was one of those guys who initially went to the NBL, and he played in Australia. I think he committed to Arizona, and then he decided to decommit and go overseas. See, again, that's another solid play getting to the basket. It's just a matter of just finishing more. And again, most rookies are very inefficient from the floor their first year. So I take the shooting numbers with a grain of salt, really. It's just the fact that he only shot 68% from the line, and just things like that make me worry about his jump shot a little bit more. But again, right there, he just gets sped up around the rim. And, often it almost looks like he tries to not get blocked more than he does to make the shot. And that's a fear with a lot of these rookies. It's just a matter of just matching up physically and just going up strong. And then once they get that and once they develop strength again, it becomes a bigger, it becomes more of a gimme layup in those situations instead of just trying and working so hard to get the simple shots off. And so once he stops worrying about just getting the shot off and worries about making it, then I think he'll become a more efficient finisher around the rim. Because right now he's just worried about surviving, not turning the ball over, not getting your shot blocked, not losing the ball in the air. So here's Hampton right here. Good job hustling around that screen on the DHO. Then you're going to cut. You got to travel, I think. So Hampton's now on Dennis Schroeder. So again, it is cool to see him go up against NBA guys on defense. He's kind of getting hosed on a lot of, not hosed, but he's kind of getting just walloped on these screens. I mean, Steven Adams is a huge dude, so I don't blame him for that. Steven Adams just pretty much destroys everybody on screens. But, you know, it is kind of cool to see him actually go up against real NBA competition this early in his draft prospect career, you know? It's cool to see that. You got a foul on an and one here. So that was a pretty decent setup into a backdoor cut. And right there, you could almost see he kind of shies away from Steven Adams right there, right? He's worried about getting the shot off, just surviving the play instead of finishing the play. He's playing like he's worried about making a mistake. And so that causes him to be timid on the floor, but it also causes him to speed up and not really focus on the end result, which is getting a pass off, finishing a shot with consistency. Yeah, I don't know what he's supposed to do there. That's a tough play. Schroeder just, you know, he knew what he was doing right there. He just kind of bullied Hampton off of him for an easy layup. Nothing much going on there for Hampton. It's a solid play. I think that's Hamidou Diallo. So here comes Hampton off this pin down. See what he does here. Couldn't really get anything going on Schroeder. Again, another really good cut. Again, that he does have that shifty, quick athleticism that I do think he'll be an effective off-ball cutter, because he's had a few times in this quarter alone where he's kind of burnt guys on the first step off the screen. So I do think that could be a viable aspect of his game. Again, it all comes down to just adding strength, being more confident, and getting that shot down. Those are the three swing things for me with Hampton. I think defensively, if he adds strengths, he'll be good. And so it all really just comes down to just adding strength, getting the shot down, you know, becoming actually a good three-point shooter. I think that's what he needs to be an above-average player in the NBA. And then just being more confident. And so I do think in that regard, I think having gone up against NBA competition, having gone up against professionals, I do think that'll help him during his rookie year in the NBA. Right there, that was a pretty decent contest. He was a little bit hunched over on that defensive possession, but there we go. Let's see what he does here. Again, good first step. And again, right there, you saw it again. So he's got free throws, luckily. So that's when he did a good job going to foul. And you saw the vertical athleticism because he could have dunked on that. He had an opportunity to dunk that. And again, you just saw the quick burst, you know. And so let's watch him shoot free throws. Remember, I don't think he missed a free throw in this game, but he was only 68% from the line in this game for this season. Knocked down both right there. And his jump shot is fluid. It's not broken by any stretch. So right there, he kind of got burnt a little bit, but he did a decent job recovering. And that's the end of the first quarter right there. He played the entire first quarter, which is actually nice. And then in the second quarter, I think he starts off on the bench, but then he comes in and plays a little bit more. So let's see. So he's at 45-25 I got when he comes back in. So I will make the adjustment there. Yeah, so he's on the block right now. I think he's being guarded by Diallo. Looks like they're trying to ice it. It's a solid play from Hampton. Made the right call on that little kick out pass. And again, I do like the speed at which he plays. It's just he's just a little bit too sped up. That time he did a good job walling off Diallo right there on that drive. But again, this is his first or second game for the Breakers ever. And to go up against OKC, a team that made the playoffs this year, that's a very tough ask. So again, he's on CP3 right now. I feel like CP3 is just one of those experience. If you have a chance to guard him, you just become instantly a way smarter defender. Just because he has so many like tricks up his sleeve and things like that he just, if you guard him for an extended period of time, I think you legitimately get more intelligent. This Thunder team will be really fun to watch in Orlando too. I'm really excited to watch them. I didn't catch a whole lot of them when the season was initially going on, but I have a new reinvigorated focus. That time it just looked like a simple pick and pop that the Breakers just miscommunicated, leading to an open three. Oh, kick it. Let's see what he does here. Again, right there. See, good elevation, and he'll finish those eventually, right? But again, he does have that really good that off the catch. He's really good at just catching the ball and just ripping it, and no defender can really, because the second he's really good at attacking closeouts off the catch is what I'll say. Even against NBA guys, like he's doing that pretty consistently. It's just a matter of finishing once he gets to the rim. And he also has good elevation. You saw he was eye level at the rim on that floater. Good job working around that screen. Hit his popper. Just didn't hit the shot for him. Again, I could see the appeal for using him as a point guard. I just think right now, I think he's better suited off the ball, I would say. So again, he's guarding CP3 off the ball. It looks like we got a foul here, so I'll skip and see if there's any. Hampton on Chris Paul again. Looks like they just switched that. Chris Paul. Good Lord. So again, now he's being guarded by Shea. And again, he's beating Shea off the dribble. He's getting a step on him. And so I think that's actually that's a really awesome trait to have as soon as you enter into the NBA. Just being able to beat NBA guys off the dribble like that. That's pretty impressive. Steven Adams he is one large human, Steven Adams. So Hampton on shooter right now. It looks like we got an illegal screen. So again, right there, got to the rim and just got swallowed up. Steven Adams sportsmanship right there, but that's a travel or something, but whatever. And again, I don't think he shot a field goal. I don't think he's made a field goal in this game. I think he just has 2 free throws, but he does have he has offered a lot of things to like. Right there, that's a nice shot, just straight up pull up. I don't know if I would have taken that, but I don't think he really wanted to go at Steven Adams again, so for that I kind of understand him, but yeah, long commercial here. All right, well, here we go. Final 3 minutes of this first half. He plays a lot more in the first half than he does in the second half. Second half, he barely plays. I think he plays around 10 minutes in the second half, so that's going to be a lot shorter video, which is sometimes good. He went to that defense dribble, the defense mechanism of the spins, and it's not Jared Butler. Jeez. That's Darius Baisley for 3 right there. He was another guy actually who skipped the college route. He committed to Syracuse, I think, and then he ended up going to play in the G League, I think, before being drafted by the Thunder in the first round. I think in the maybe it was a 2019 draft. I can't remember exactly. (2019) or 2018 though, that's for sure. Another foul here. I'll skip this if there are free throws. I'm not sure if there are. I'll just leave it. So on shooter. Right now, I'd say he's an average defender. I think once he shows average instincts, I think. I think he could be a solid defender in the NBA. I think he averaged 1 steal a game, which isn't bad. Obviously, steals aren't the only way to measure defense, but it's a fine indicator, I guess. But again, I do think once he gets stronger, that's the big thing: the strength and the shot. And you can tell he kind of is a little bit tired here, too. It's just a matter of conditioning. I mean, it's hard to just get on a court with a bunch of NBA guys. And so you'll see a lot of times in the second half, he'll have his hands on his knees. It looks like he's breathing pretty heavily. And again, when you're tired and you're out of shape, like it makes a huge difference in your decision making and everything. I'm not saying he was out of shape, but I'm saying just the level of shape these NBA guys are in is just a totally different stratosphere. So you can't reasonably expect any high school kid to come in and be able to just hang with these guys for 30 minutes. That's tough to do. So he's out of shape by NBA standards, but he's not actually out of shape, okay? Got the final 2 seconds here. Good advanced pass right there. Let's see if he hits it. No. All right, so that's the end of the first half. I'll pause the video here, and I will see you for the second half. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think RJ Hampton's a really interesting prospect for this draft. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this new layout I have going. I hope, hopefully this makes the screen a little bit bigger and my face a little bit smaller. So yeah, with that, I will see you for the second half. And yeah, thanks for watching.